What's up, everyone? I'm Nathan Graham Davis, and I'm going to re-break in as a Hollywood screenwriter. It's episode 24, which means that you are about to see an amazing conversation on theme and character arcs and endings as the Thornton brothers and Adam Taylor Barker give me notes on the second draft of my new script, Aether. This is an amazing conversation. I am so excited to share it with you. Before we get into it, though, I just wanted to say a couple quick things. One is that you are going to get way more out of this episode if you've had a chance to read the script first. So I actually posted the second draft online. There is a link in the show notes below to a Google folder that has both drafts in it. Take a look at the second one before you watch this episode. I promise it'll be worth it. You will get so much more out of this conversation as a result. Also, if you're getting any value out of this series at all, you know, I'm not charging for it. I'm not running ads. I'm not starting some consulting business or writing a book. I'm just trying to create the best resource possible. So I do have two quick favors to ask you. One is please subscribe. Even though this series is pretty close to wrapping, I definitely have more awesome filmmaking and screenwriting content in the works. It will be coming up, so I'd really, really appreciate that. Two, if you know anybody that you think would get value out of one of these episodes, share it with them. If it happens to be before April 2nd, when I'm doing the live streamed reading of the script, it would be amazing if you'd let people know that that's happening. And other than that, that's all I got. So grab a notebook and settle in. You're really going to enjoy this one. What's up, Jay?
Looky here. I'm not the latest in Chris's attendance.
What's up, Adam? Oh, man, you look like you're in paradise right now. Look at that.
Yeah, I got to sit outside because in California, Santa Barbara. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm in one of those shitty California homes where like you can hear somebody like whispering from the other side of the house. So, yeah,
it looks nice. It's like 30 degrees and rainy here right now. It's right on that line where it's not quite sleet, and it just sucks.
Yeah,
that's my favorite weather in the world. Better. Is that cold rain.
So, yeah, I think it's like
came in looking like Bodie from Point Break and shit.
Right.
Damn, I feel uncool.
You definitely have the post-produced screenwriter look about you now.
Yeah.
So, you look more successful than last time I saw you. It's got to be it.
I did. There's a relief, man. There's definitely a relief. Yeah, like I feel better about it for sure, though.
The afterglow,
dude. Yeah, that's good. Glad to hear it. Well, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. I'm gonna try and be less clunky about starting this conversation than the last time. I did a notes one because it was just awkward getting into it. So
I didn't watch that, by the way. I don't know if you guys did, so I don't even know what to expect.
I watched a little bit of it. Yeah. I watched some of it. The one with Jeff Willis and the Christies. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah, it's a way different script now. I mean, they gave me killer notes. And, you know, from their perspective, they didn't think I had a massive rewrite ahead of me, but to address the notes and then also keep the things that I loved about the script and the idea, I just knew that I had to trash a ton of it. So it's like 90% different now.
That's the best thing about notes is that like you get them and there should be no like expectation with what you do with them, you know, like just give it to the person and then take it or leave it. And sometimes it snowballs into something even greater. Well, I mean, you know,
they were great notes in the sense that they really uncovered some things that weren't working and got my mind just the wheels turning, you know, in a way that was really important. So the stuff like the major notes that last time, I guess I'd like to ask about those things first, and then, or if one of you just wants to jump in with overall thoughts, that's fine.
No,
too.
do that. I want to know what you addressed,
that's a good idea.
You think you fixed, and we can tell you if it's still an issue or not.
Yeah. So the major notes last time were first that like the genre was really unclear in a bad way. That it took way too long to get started. The character motivations were unclear for a long time until pretty late in the script, and in some cases weren't working at all. Motivation for Scara to go back to town didn't feel strong enough, and also for that same basic reason, the sex scene was not working. That was actually with a different person in that script, though.
Oh.
So those were kind of like the main ones. I mean, there were more, but I think like a lot of the other ones don't actually even apply anymore because I threw out so much of the script. But those definitely are still important.
Man, I don't feel like those are issues. No,
man. Honestly,
that's good.
I'll say up front, I think it's pretty fucking good, and I have a hard time even giving you any notes because I think we're going to approach this more like, what did you set out to do? How can we help you most ultimately realize what you tried to do?
Yeah.
Because for me, it works pretty well, dude. Which I know I never say. So, yeah.
I know. That's why I'm like kind of shocked. Wow. All right. Well, that's cool to hear.
I agree. I was just scanning through. There was a page where I wrote on the in the margin, I said, like, I'm all in, you know, I can't remember what page that was.
Damn.
I'll find it, but
yeah, it was a breeze to read. I did it this morning in one sitting. I do have I wrote down my notes as well, and I can send them to you separately because obviously we don't have to go through every detail now. A couple typos too, but
I put some notes in a PDF.
You found typos
in the PDF,
the fuck,
just
Chris?
a couple.
There's one
I'm not sure of.
One page had two. Now I'm embarrassed.
Oh yeah. So I may have missed one then.
I'll see if I wrote it down. I kind of just
fucking hate
there were a
typos.
couple spots where I thought they were typos and then discovered later, like also the word also, but it was ALS. And then I realized later, that's exactly.
Yeah, that's on purpose.
You know,
right.
Yeah. So actually, that's a question that I have, and that's a more minor one, but I am curious what you guys thought about the dialogue for sure.
I dug it.
I liked it. I had one idea, which was sometimes you'll see a script where like after the title page, right? So like the second page, you'll have like a note to the reader, right? Like letting them know like what to expect if there's something like jarring. That might be something that I don't know if it's necessary. It just depends on what you're going for.
Well, like their native language is only ever spoken in this Old English form of English. Yeah. The only foreign language in it is Latin in the opening, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's
not like you even transition from the foreign language to a English version of it or something. But
right, so there's like the first 3 pages. The first 3 pages are in Latin, and then after that, it's all like this mix of modern English and modern English and Middle English to kind of like keep it so that you understand what's happening. But there were like 6 or 7 old Norse words that I threw in there to just give it like Hrafen, like for the raven, and Preister and Preister and stuff like that. So
I thought it worked.
So that's working.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because that was another note from everybody, and everybody felt the same way last time, was that I went way too hard on the dialogue. So I did dial it back probably like 20 to 25%.
I will say though, like the group you have here, like I think we all kind of dig like indie, indie.
We might be a problem.
Fringe, so
studio,
but that's
dude.
okay.
Depends on what you want.
That's kind of like what I target too, right? Like, I think I might be slightly more on the popcorn side than you guys, but not by much. I mean, I'm a big fan of taking big swings, and kind of sinking or swimming based on that.
But what's your goal with the script? Because if it's to get it out there and get a big wide range of responses, then you might want to I mean, water it down, I guess would be the way to put it. But
yeah, I actually have to say I actually expected something a bit more like whimsical and family friendly, and I was kind of surprised. I was kind of surprised by how adult and like horrific it is, which I love. I'm all for that. So I was pleasantly surprised. But
this is not
for some reason I went in expecting it to be lighter. Yeah.
Which is great, though. I think if a lot of people do, and they're going to end up sitting there reading this shit in the middle of the night, like, oh snap, this is pretty.
Well, I think if they see Mike Moran's cover art, they're not going to be surprised.
One thing I was thinking we would end up doing probably more than likely with this is like kind of Socratic methoding, asking what was your intention here, what was that, and going back to when Malcolm Spellman first kind of poo-pooed some of the ideas you had, or like those aren't right, those aren't right, and led you down this road. What was it about this story that made you want to tell it as opposed to any other story you could have told?
That's an awesome question. And that was so Malcolm Spellman, and then following that, Jake and Ben in the next episode. Like those guys like those conversations are absolutely what led me down this path, which was just all about like following your like passion. And so for Malk, that was like completely it. And then I kind of already had this idea, but when I was talking with Ben Lustig and Jay Thornton, like I was saying, you know, I was going to do it as a really low budget, like contained as possible, you know, so that we could do it for like $5 to $10 million, and there'd be a broader spectrum of places I could take it. And they said, well, I mean, honestly, like you should think about writing writing the type of movie that you want to write for a living, you know, because you never know what's going to happen with it anyway, but you want a sample that reflects what you can do. And so this still isn't like a $80 million movie, but it's not going to be made for 10.
You can always gear down too. It's harder, I think, to imagine how to gear something up, you know. Right. You can always dial it back on budget.
Yeah,
I mean, at the heart of this, it's definitely a low budget kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's still contained for a lot of it, right? I mean, I think you could make it for like 25 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I think you can make it for way less, but that's a different conversation. Yeah. It just depends on how tricky you are with what you
like
do.
The effects and stuff, like, you know, and I don't know what you will have to bleep or whatever as far as
you can say anything
conversation, like, but you know, just in terms of the scope of their powers of being able to, you know, like telekinetic type stuff and everything, you could boil that down if need be, you know, to just be like,
get down
to
practicals,
like you just make people's like you know, eyes bleed and they die, you know, or whatever, that kind of shit, you know what I mean? So you could definitely scale that back if needed, and the rest is just all forests and I guess the village, you know, like you'd have to find a location or something.
So
CGI
I mean
that, you know, but
the intent of the whole project, right, is to it's the reentry thing, right? It's breaking back in. So ideal, like to me, that means finding representation and making money at screenwriting inside of kind of the system, right? So whether that's optioning this script or getting work, it's, you know, something like that. So I want this to serve as a way in. So
I mean, you get Malcolm, someone who's entrenched in the studio side and shit, telling you to just do what your passion was. Like that is the key, I think. I wouldn't take any advice that tells you to try and commercialize it or anything. Let them give you those notes. You know what I mean? Let the buyer or potential buyer say, can we do something about this language? It's too Norse or some shit, you know? But I wouldn't be preemptively doing any of that, to be honest, man. Do exactly what you set out to do. And that's the question right now. How far do you feel it is from what you want it to be? You know, when you draw a picture.
I think when I finished, so I reread this, you know, a couple times and went through and did like just my own line notes to try and fix everything up before sending it to you guys, because I just think that's a respect thing, right? Like you want to make it as clean as possible before you send it out, which is why I'm fucking pissed you found a typo.
Yeah, you don't want that heart attack moment where you're like, oh, I can't believe I fucking sent this to somebody.
Right. Done that. And so when I finished reading it, I was just like, you know, I'm too close to this to know for sure, but I feel like this is a good script, you know? So that was a cool feeling, because like, it is a different feeling when you feel that way about your work, right? Like sometimes, like the first draft, I was like, this might be good. Like there's a movie in here. I don't know. But it is a different feeling when like you kind of know that something's working, right? Like you just...
I think you're right. I mean, I think you're really close. I mean, potentially right there on it. It just comes down to what notes you want to take. And
well, I would love to hear anything you have for sure. You know, I guess like thematically, like back to Jay's question, kind of like, so what I found was that as what I did was I made a list of like all my favorite movies from the last 20 years, right? And I looked for common themes, and I found that one that was like in there, a lot of them, right? Like, you know, Whiplash, There Will Be Blood, things like that. The Prestige was just like, you know, this relentless pursuit of an obsession, whatever the cost, and, you know, and I was like, oh, that's interesting to me. And it's probably because I've been chasing this stupid screenwriting dream for 15 years.
You could relate.
So, right. You know, so I just started coming up with ideas based on that. And 2 or 3 days later, I kind of hit on the first iteration of this idea. And then it's just kind of built from there.
Well, first off, cheers to you for finishing it.
Thanks, bro.
I'm raising a glass of Soul Boxer Manhattan.
I have my tea.
Oh yeah, I should be drinking that.
Sneaking plugs in and shit. But props to you, period, for finishing a draft, for putting your balls out there publicly, taking those notes before.
For sure.
Coming back to us with a draft that honestly I don't feel like I have a ton of notes on. Just some thoughts. So the drink. Then a thought with you saying you wanted it to be that obsessive pursuit and they're put through the ringer or whatever. In retrospect, maybe you could have had the witch turn the dial up a bit on that and make her go through more of a gauntlet. Yeah. I don't know what those ideas would be. Maybe we could spitball some stuff, but like there's a lot of wood cutting. There's a lot of, mantraing.
Mr. Miyagi.
And in the end, she has that one spell, right? And that would fix that issue. Because she ends up having like just one spell that she can use against the witch, which is kind of like interesting. But if it was like this endless pursuit, like maybe she would know a little bit more.
Maybe she'd have a spell or two, and maybe one of them would backfire in the end game when she's using it because she doesn't know it as well or something. You could toy with that a little bit. And I know one thing that it seemed like
spell thing.
It seemed like you were trying to make Valdala the witch less of the monster than the people in the town might think. She's a more complex character, even sympathetic in some ways. So I could see you not wanting her to Cactus Jack her and shit in the basement, you know what I mean? And run her too bad through the gauntlet. But you might be able to turn the screws a little bit more.
The first draft, Valdala was way more awful. Like it was, it was largely kind of modeled off of Whiplash, and so she was like the J.K. Simmons character, and still is a little bit, but not in the same way. Like I wanted there to be, in this draft, I really tried to create the idea that like maybe they would find each other and have this relationship together that they both had been missing from their life, right? Like she had never had this like caring, parental figure or anything like that, or mentor figure, and Valdala was also
kinda
like
needed her
had
as
that
well.
hole, right?
Yeah.
And so
I actually have a note to that effect, just a thought.
I'd love to hear it. So like, on that note, so that's why I allowed her to be harsh, but I didn't make her overly harsh because I wanted there to be like that potential.
I really like that character. It's a really good character.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a fine line, and it's like you want her to be good, you want her to be harsh, evil, whatever.
You do have like the bee sting, and there are other moments like that where it is more than Mr. Miyagi did. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of just a touch point. But
what if like she first tells her
too, just a little more? Yeah.
Like here's an idea I'll throw out. It just occurred to me, so I don't know how good it is or not. But like the first night, she lets her stay in the barn. It's like a decent warm place to. Once she becomes her apprentice, what if she has to sleep outside until she earns her way back into the barn or something? I'm just saying, there's little things where she can say, "Oh, I was treating you graciously with hospitality, but if you're going to undertake this journey, we're going to start, pretty gnarly, just an idea."
I like that.
Yeah, no, I like that. Like that feels in line with the character, like the idea of, whether it's that or something else, but the idea of, starting her off in once like she's becoming the apprentice, to start her off in a more harsh way, like that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like this is it's like I'm teaching you how to build a nuclear bomb. I need to make sure and rigorously run you through Hell Week, essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like what was done to me for me to learn it, right? And I'll do it to you. Right. It's not about being nice; it's about preparing.
Hazing,
you, right? Yeah.
Oh, actually, that tells me that I got another one of the notes right. One of Jeff's notes, and I think everybody agreed, but he was the one who pointed it out, was that the magic didn't feel like dangerous enough, and like there was like that was a really big missed opportunity. So it sounds like it feels dangerous now. Like
I feel like you can go further with it though.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know you like the one spell thing, and I do think there's something super dope. I don't know, D&D, but there's a cantrip. She essentially knows a cantrip, blow a candle out. But can she take that one cantrip and Jedi that shit into like blasting dudes through walls?
But also like there's a simplicity to it for sure, but it for me, it comes down to, suspension of disbelief comes down to believing something that is actually possible, right? Or at least in the confines of the story and the rules you've created. And it didn't really feel like it was possible for her to use one spell, which is just blowing wind around, right? To take out this witch who is a master, right?
And all the dudes even necessarily.
There's got to be something. Yeah. And there can be a shortcut to it, which like, I don't remember exactly what was the thing that she stole. She stole a scroll, right? And it had circles on it that looked different.
That was to bring back the dead.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Okay. But something to that effect,
end.
I mean, one idea I had was something that's on the scroll or something that was in that room that she saw before. And she knows she has to get the obsidian ring to get into that room, right? She's done it once before. So if there's some way for her to use that one spell to get the ring, to get in the room, to get some object that she knows can help her, you know?
Okay.
That
was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Here's another more character motivated way to do a similar thing. That's more like a plot motivated, like she had to sneak back in the room again, and
Yeah.
But what if it's about her somehow endearing herself to Valhalla to the point that Valhalla might show her a little something she's not quite ready for, and then even feel she shouldn't have shown her that, and that ends up being the thing that's used to beat her, type thing. That's kind of a classic trope too. That I gave you the key to victory.
Yeah.
I don't know, just an idea. But
and also talking about character motivation, like what is Valdalla's motivation? Because like you said, like you had to change her from being like really bad, right?
Yep.
But I'm guessing the ending didn't change a whole lot. So now you've got this setup that's almost like a different character.
The ending's actually pretty different
Okay.
in some ways. So,
but she, at least from my reading and not knowing what the script looked like, I mean, like it felt a little bit jarring for her to go from like someone that sort of maybe sees like a daughter figure, right? Like a replacement daughter, a chance to do right what she fucked up before, and now she's just going to kill this girl because she broke some rule, which I guess we don't understand. Maybe that's what we need to understand.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that actually,
so
because
be
in a way,
clear.
That exactly what you were just speaking to there, Valdalla's obedience to these rules and almost like a religion of its own, like with its own gods, the weavers, etc.
Right.
I saw it as an interesting theme because you have the priests and the more traditional religion who was persecuting the witches, but yet even her own master Valhalla was also sort of a zealot to these other gods,
Yes.
So that kind of justified it for me, that she was
like
being
that.
a slave to
that was what I was
her
going
own religion.
for.
It's thematic. I was going to talk about theme too, because that felt like you maybe lost the thread of theme somewhere in there, because I know there was a lot of like religion and adherence to rules that maybe hurt people, and like good people doing bad things. But then there was a lot of like, in terms of character motivation for Skara, it had a lot to do with her sister, right? Like she wanted some way to use magic to bring her back, but then that gets lost, I guess, at a point where she realizes like if I were to bring her back, she would be like Valdalla's daughter. But it really slams the door on that motivation, and now what is her motivation? I don't know. I really like that
kind of to just go back to the town. And
just because revenge.
Let me tell you what I was going for, and then maybe you guys can help me.
It wasn't revenge at first, though, right? She went back to trying to get homeboy to run away with it.
It's all been kind of like she realized after she met Valhalla that like she wanted the autonomy and freedom that this woman had, because she'd never seen an example of a woman having that before, right? And then like she started to want that so much that she was even willing to leave behind like the gods to go after that in a way that Valhalla never was. And that's kind of like, and it's something that I didn't even realize it was developing toward that until I was kind of writing it. And I'm, realizing it even more now after having finished it. But that's definitely, there's that final line, like, I am the weaver, and she's kind of turning her back on the gods so that she can be, fully herself the way that she wants to, in a way that Valhalla.
There's something I was going to say to that point a little bit in terms of just Valhalla. And well, what are the weavers, right? Is that just the name given to like whatever creates the power?
So that's it's actually like legit Norse mythology.
Okay.
So it's like they're kind of like even above Odin in a way. Like they're the fates.
Fates, yeah. Okay.
What I was going to say though is, because I have an issue, I think, with Valhalla being such a strong character, right? And I don't really think she comes off like malicious or anything at any point, unless it's like a drive to instill in her like what she needs in order to become what she wants to become. But once you reveal, I think, like, okay, she sees a little bit of a daughter figure in her. She lost her daughter, and she she went beyond, I guess, the Weavers, right? Like almost in a way broke a rule. Like, and so now her daughter is destined to be a living dead creature essentially forever, and there's no way to change it. I mean, if there's some way, I think, for you to end this, I like the idea of an ending where both characters, it almost becomes dual protagonist, right? Like, because
both are brought
villain,
peace
I don't think like the
she's brought the
villain.
heal.
Yeah, I don't think the villain is Valhalla. The villain is the village,
Yes.
you know, and
Agree
and
with
the
that.
people that push both women away, to where they are now. If there's some way, like, number one, I thought you're setting something up with the, she has not discovered how to
It's got me thinking.
essentially kill her daughter and give her that release, right? Like where she can finally like rest in peace. If there's some way for Scar to, I don't know, discover that or something, like she finds something that was there all along. I don't know what it is.
So you feel like this story was setting up a happier ending?
I don't know if I wouldn't even say happy, but just I don't know. I didn't buy it. I guess I just didn't buy that Valhalla is going to, like, what is she afraid of? I mean, at this point in her
depends
life,
on the legitimacy of the fear of the Weavers. If Valhalla legitimately believes that they're now going to pay with fates worse than death sort of scenarios because of the transgressions, if she believes that, then I think she would react the way she did.
Okay,
But another approach though.
Okay. Yeah.
Another approach though could be, this is a whole different direction, but you could still have the whole turn where it seems like they're facing off, and then at some point, what's her name, the protagonist, Skira gets through. She gets through, and they actually reconnect, but they could be on the run with the Weavers after them. You know what I mean? Basically, they violate the religion, and then they're like the story ends with the future of them now companions against having turned against their.
Let me thought a third thing.
These pagan gods or something.
This all got me thinking too. What Adam was saying, she's not the villain essentially, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe not a dual protagonist isn't necessarily the word, but
I agree with
let's say though, it's not that we want a nice ending, we want a just ending. And the just ending is Valhalla, does she deserve this horrible fate? Maybe it's about finding some way for Skara to give Valhalla and her daughter peace. Like, what if even when she locks them in there, they're wailing, and then she uses the shit to collapse the whole thing on them and crush them, and it goes quiet. And just ending on that note of it quiet and at peace or something, is that she maybe did a good thing, and it wasn't so much retribution against Valhalla, who really didn't wrong her. She wronged Valhalla, if you really think about it. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
I don't know. So, just an idea to end it on a note where Valhalla's not punished.
Here's what I was going to say is, I like all that, but hell, what was I going to say? Chris, you were saying that there's something like they can still fight, and that's what I was thinking is they can still have this showdown, but it becomes more of a like
to demand it.
Essentially, Scar is saying like, "Why are you fighting me?" Right?
Right.
What is she trying to adhere to? I mean, what does she have to lose? Like. Mm-hmm. And I think this is what Scar is kind of saying to her, right? Like, I mean, you already lost your daughter, right?
Right.
If there is, number one, if there's some way for Scar to help her send her daughter back to the afterlife in some way, I think that's a good ending. And it doesn't have to be a good ending, like a happy ending or anything like that. But number two is breaking through, like breaking the wall down, because it goes back to like religion that you set up, right? Like adhering to these beliefs that. What do they even do for you, right? Like you're really only living in fear of a God, right? That you've never seen or seen any proof of or anything like that. Yeah. So I think that gets back to theme, right? And so I think you sort of lose theme in your climax is maybe the reason that it feels the way it does.
That's interesting. So it's definitely helpful. I mean, what it tells me is I definitely am not achieving a couple of things that I was trying to achieve. So that's good to know.
Not far off though, man. These are tweaks, and sometimes a line of dialogue. Found so often a line of dialogue you can have during the fight.
Yeah,
Valhalla says, or she says, "Why are you doing this?" Valhalla's like, "Because the Weavers, blah blah blah."
Yeah,
exactly. Because if the fear is strong enough, that theme is pretty powerful. That Valhalla doesn't come around because she is.
So I need
she's
her
so
fear.
Afraid of the Weavers.
So we need to sell the fear better. And I think your note about her saying, "Why are you doing this?" kind of in the middle of the fight is awesome. And it is funny because it's just like a line, right? But like it would actually make a big difference.
Well, and it solves two things, right? It helps with the theme issue, but also with the believability issue, which I don't believe that she can kill this witch.
Yeah,
with the limited power that she has. I don't think there's a way to set up for her to be better. Yeah, right.
Criticism of the Mary Sue criticism of just
you lose that believability at that moment. Yeah. So you're solving two issues right there, and perhaps all born out of the same problem. I guess.
Wait, okay. Actually, I'm missing something here. So how does that solve the believability that she can kill her?
Because she's not going to. Catch. Right? She's going to not play her game.
Have to in the end.
Right? Because that's what she's doing in that climax anyway. She's just throwing the same thing at her, right? And it's like
video game.
It's like throwing rocks at someone with a gun, right? Like you're just it's pointless unless you're throwing rocks at them to try to talk them out of doing what they're going to do, right?
Oh, like so you're suggesting that I actually have her talk her out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that tells me that I'm not there yet, because like for me the ending has to end with her killing Valdala. At least I think it does, and the reason why is
I would like to hear
it. So
the reason on that.
It's all about this theme of autonomy, right? And what I realized, is that like the truth of this, and honestly, even kind of in the modern day, right, is that like autonomy is a myth, like there's like, and the only people who ever find it are the people who break everything around them. And so that's where she finally gets pushed.
The question is autonomy then something worth fighting for, or does it make you a monster, the hawk, etc., who destroys?
Well, that's kind of where I like wanted to go with it thematically, was like the idea that this poor young woman like was dealt like the worst hand, right? And just got kind of boxed into this awful situation where it kind of created this monster.
Let me throw something out. We talked about the power of one line of dialogue can fix something. What about subtracting a line of dialogue? What if we took away the "I am the Weaver" line, and then it's just like, this is something I had to do. It's not that it built to this climactic moment, and I say the one-liner that defines me is now the.
Yeah, I was gonna let you keep that one, but I didn't love. It felt really, a little like Breaking Bad.
It's like I'm the one who knocks.
Yeah, Breaking Bad's a good reference, right? Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember.
So what if it just happens? So she does it, and she realizes at the end she broke everything, and it's kind of a fucked up victory where she's like, "Oh my god, I achieved my autonomy," but at the same time, there's just bodies everywhere. Where do I go from here? Am I ever going to have a family? Am I ever going to? So you could end on a more.
I don't completely understand the autonomy thing to it too. Like, and I don't know if that's because it's not universal. Or it doesn't feel very universal in terms of like accessing so many different people and different lifestyles and wherever they may be. I mean, it felt to me like religion had a lot. That's fairly universal.
Sure.
I mean,
nature
that's where I think
whichever way you go,
more than the
and I feel like that's stronger. Yeah, but I don't want to tell you like don't write it, about what you want to write about.
This is great conversation.
I think though autonomy. What you're talking about though is autonomy in the context of a community. No one wants true autonomy.
Have multiple things.
No one wants to be. Yeah. True autonomy is into the wild, where you go live in the fucking bus and you eat the wrong berries and die alone and miserable.
Yeah, I mean, you can achieve autonomy. It's just you. Yeah. And maybe this goes back to your theme. Like you can talk about theme, and theme should be a discussion anyway, right? Like you don't even have to impart your own opinion in there. But like the idea of, is it? And that's into the wild, right? Like he wanted that, and that became his eventual destruction. Right, like
not realizing that fate was a harsh one.
Yeah, like we kind of all do need each other in some way. Just because people hurt you doesn't mean there's not people out there that won't hurt you.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Scarra does not end this story having won, really. Like, and that's like I see it as a sad ending all around.
Definitely.
And, I think sad ending is totally fine, man. Yeah, it's totally fine to have sad ending. I just think you have to get there in a way that feels like it became that natural ending that it was going toward the whole time, even if you didn't see it. But if you get to the ending, you're like, wait a second, what? Why? So why would you do that, right?
So it's interesting to me to know that the theme, like even talking about it, doesn't really land for you either. So
I think that it does get lost at a point. It felt to me I think so. I found it in here, page 35. I put like all aboard, I'm all in. I don't remember exactly why, but that's the moment that page like got me. I'm in. Sick. And then it got up to, I think, like I'm on board really until she goes back. I don't know if it's when she goes back, but somewhere in that section, right before they start fighting. I mean, I felt like it kind of felt like you were just speeding up in a way. Like I do that. Like I get to the end and I'm like, fuck, I'm getting there.
What if
one day
she goes to the town right now? Adam talked earlier about her motivations getting lost, and they kind of shift a bit, which I think honestly isn't a problem as long as you are transparent to a degree. What if, again, one line of dialogue in the spirit of that, when she goes back and she's with that, what is it, Eigen or Egan? What's the dude's name?
Eigen. Yeah.
Eigen. She's with Eigen, and he's like, "What do you want?" And it's like a question the audience is asking at the same time, and she hasn't even really thought about necessarily because she's going here or there, wherever.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Life
like
takes her. And she says,
spot where she, like,
"I don't know. I wanted one thing, but now I know that can't be done. So I'm even trying to figure out what I want or something. I just want to be loved, or I want to be alone, or what, whatever."
Well, and that goes back to, I mean, that even, and I totally buy that. She goes back to the town. She's looking for some compassion, for someone to love her, to help her, right? She thinks she finds it. And then the one person she maybe thought was like the most gentle person she'd ever met still hurts her. Then I understand, like, and I understand she goes back to Valdala, and Valdala wants to hurt her. Now all bets are off. Like everyone she's ever met has tried to hurt her. People are unredeemable.
Which actually kind of speaks against the theme you were talking to.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of what I'm getting to, is that like but I don't know if I buy that Valdala would hurt her too. So then you end up getting lost in there. Like it's got to be one or the other, I guess. Like you got to buy that Valdala would hurt her and betray her in some way, right? And it's got to make sense. Like you understand her fear or something like that. But there also has to be that, I think, a battle of philosophical differences in a way, right? Which is what we were talking about, is they're talking while they're fighting or whatever, right? And they have opposing viewpoints. Yeah, and then whichever one wins out. But you've got to have, I think, these two different philosophies in a way.
Okay.
In that
Let me
moment.
Stack something on top of that when you're done. If you
don't have to have that, I'm just saying that's.
This is really good stuff.
Now that's the theme in the philosophical argument being meted out. What about? And you talk about story logic. Really, to me, it comes down to character emotional logic. Does it make sense? This character feels this way, hence acted this way. Yeah, so what if she goes back to the village? Everything goes to shit. She tried to take a different turn and run off with this dude and start a human life somewhere. Everything takes this fucked up turn. Then all the men are going to get Valdala. She feels guilt. It's not, because right now you have like her and the men in a race to get back to fight Valdala. What if she's going back to save Valdala and help Valdala fight off these men?
I got the impression
that's what it was supposed to be.
That's what it is.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the way I read it.
But then Valdala said,
Yeah.
I would love to know why that didn't land for you, though.
I think it's because Valdala wants to fight her immediately, maybe.
Okay. But that is the section.
I don't think it was super clear, but I did get that impression.
Yeah. In retrospect,
there is a passage of time though where she doesn't try to get back right away, right after she tells
she gets her hand bound, like, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's after that. So time passes, right? So and she's not trying to get out. That could be it. She doesn't seem to be very guilty in the moment when she does it.
Or just like
okay.
I have to save Valdala before these dudes kill her.
A little bit harder.
Should be more ticking clock that maybe not even treat the hand, which is interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Why not? Yeah, I don't necessarily.
Maybe there's just a moment between her defeating the dudes and her and Valdala maybe working together to defeat the dudes that come to get Valdala. And once the men are taken out, there's a moment we, the audience, get through Scarrow. We're like, we did it. You and me, Valdala, we beat off the men. Maybe now we can reconcile and live it. And then Valdala's like, nope, bitch.
I think there was
the fact that you brought them here.
There's
period.
I think it was again kind of brief, I guess, fleeting. But I think there.
But she gives her soup and everything, right? And then she's like, once you're done eating the soup, then whatever the line is, essentially we can fight. And she's like,
we have to go out in the field and do
that's kind of cool, actually. Kind of old school samurai.
It is a good moment, and I think you can keep all that. It's once they start fighting, it feels almost like a different movie where it's both of them have accepted the terms and we're battling to the death. And I don't buy that. I don't buy it. I think I already expressed that, right? I just don't buy their motivations, how they got there essentially to that mindset.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like there is probably,
but it's really good, dude. I don't want to like poo-poo it too
that's
much.
the thing. Yeah, this is just us talking. We could have ended this at 10 minutes.
It's awesome.
Honestly, yeah, you could send it out right now, and I think it'd be great. But
I agree.
I think you can make it great.
Yeah, it should be framed that way. Yeah, totally.
You can make it really, really good.
When we speak of the character motivation, there were a couple moments throughout that I had questions on. For example, when I keep wanting to say Skeeta, but is it Skara? Skara. I'm always like one letter off. Skara, when she steals the ring to go into the room, is it purely curiosity, or does she actually think that there's a way to bring her sister back in behind the door? Like, what's her reason for stealing the ring and going into the closet?
Yeah, she thinks that there's because she so Valdala brought her back, right? And there was this conversation about like life and death, and like, and she asked if Valdala could do the same with her sister, and Valdala was like, no, it's not the same. It's not the same. Okay. But then she sees the ring and goes for it.
And I think you hit on that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, it didn't seem explicitly to me that that's why she was doing it, because I don't think she verbalized it or anything, which she probably wouldn't, right?
What if you do something subtle like that door was
let me just finish
open.
real quick.
Sorry, go ahead.
For me, it was lost. So it felt almost more like it was a curiosity or something. Like that whole through line of it being her express purpose was to bring her, to go in there and find a way to bring her sister back. And one sequence that had to do with that was she saw the runes, which I think she later learned had to do with bringing people back. I was just wondering if that was swapped maybe, or you know what I'm saying? Like, because she keyed in on it before she was informed that was the rune.
Yeah, so here's what it was, and then you can tell me where I fucked up. So
I probably just fucked up reading it.
I totally I'll just say I loved that moment where she brings her back, and one of her first thoughts was like, hold on a second, I was fucking dead and you brought me back.
Yeah,
I have an opportunity now. And I didn't really totally understand, which I think is a good thing. Like everything, all of her motivations all wrapped into one. I didn't totally understand what she wanted out of it, which I was okay with until that moment where she's like, you brought me back, so that means I could bring my sister back, right? And she tries to explain to her like, no, but like she's a kid, right? She doesn't understand. She's impatient, wants to get, to the end of the rainbow right away, right? And so she wants to take the shortcut, which the shortcut is get into the room and gain access to what she shouldn't have access to. Like I bought that. So, and I really like, and I think that's why I'm like, wait, you can do more, because those little moments are great. Right. And I think you touch on that so many times when like she loses her sister and it's such a huge thing. And then she's brought back to life and she thinks, wait, maybe I could get the one person that I loved in my life back. Then she learns like, wait, so I guess I can't, because you brought the person you love back, and that's what happened. But I don't think
that just made me realize something. So the reason that she goes back to the town, right? Like, it's because she's realized that like there's nothing for her here, right? Like, or at least that's what she thinks. Like, she came here and she thought that she could be apprenticed and have this freedom and this autonomy and get her, maybe find a way to bring her sister back and all this. And then she sees like that Valdala's kid is all fucked up and like undead and in unending eternal pain. And so she's like, I don't want anything to do with this life. But again, a one line of dialogue thing, or maybe even a way to show it, but I should reference her sister again in the way that she's realized that she's lost all hope for her sister at that point. Would you agree with that? Like,
I would not. Sense? I don't know. It depends on how you do it. But I don't know if I would believe that a person would lose all that hope. Like, because it's one person that did the spell, right? And she doesn't seem to like know everything, right? Like she's still practicing.
That's interesting. Maybe that's your line of dialogue. You start asking Valdala, but you're one person, because you even have that thing where the way they pronounce it is individualized. So maybe when you cast the spell, you fucked it up. Like, I could cast the spell and it'll work.
It is.
Maybe I'm better than you.
Yeah, I thought she was. I thought it might. You never know where it's going to go. But I thought maybe she could end up having more power. Just somehow, like she's just a more powerful person naturally, or her anger is so much. I don't know, something like Carrie. Like I thought it was going to go like Carrie.
Can we start over where I suggest this, like I was thinking about it ahead of time, and I'll just cut that previous part so everybody thinks I'm smarter than I am, because that's pretty interesting. And I hadn't thought about that at all, but it's funny that
how you get the good ideas is snowballing off of people.
Exactly, man. Just spitballing. This, but that. What if this? What are the? Oh, that's cool. And then, again, hopefully you take this. Cards. and you go review this again, and you come up with all new ideas to fix these issues people are bringing up even better than anything spitballed. You know?
It's probably.
And I'll throw out, not to cut you off, but I had an idea, which is, I just wanted to put it in here because it's an example of like a good stupid idea, right? Like, but I think you should give people. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think you should give people like all your notes, even if they're stupid, because sometimes somebody might see something in it, right, that you didn't see. So I just had this idea. It was the moment that she bit her fingers. Valdala bit Scar's fingers off. The same fingers missing from Valdala's hand, right? And I don't even think this would work, but I had a moment where I wondered, like, wait a second, are they the same fucking person?
Time loop.
Yeah, I thought
the daughter is her sister.
Is there a time loop happening? Which I thought, wait a second, that could happen. Yeah, it could work. You know,
that's hilarious.
Because you talked about like the cost of the power or whatever, and I thought, like, wait, could that be a cost? Is like you're forced to perpetually live the same life in a time loop or something like that.
Dude, what I don't know. Valdala
Groundhog Day,
if you were to play with something like this.
Yeah.
What if earlier on, again, a line of dialogue, just planning some shit, she's like, I want to escape, I want to run away, and Valdala's like, well, that's easy. You can go anywhere. You can change your name. You could do this or that, because her name used to be something else. It used to be Scara or whatever, you know. I mean, there's a lot of ways to plant those little things. So
there's a way to do that. It just comes down to whether you want.
That might be
a
I don't know,
stupid, brilliant idea, but
it's a little
like I said, like
clever.
But even just but
it would have to be so perfect, like
even just the hint of that is cool though. Like to even plant the idea in the we think of this, you can often have, like, let's say you have 4 different endings, you have to choose one, but you can still give the audience the moment of what if, I wonder
the potential of these other endings.
It still has value.
I mean, I know that's the director of Ex Machina, I think. I can't remember his name.
Alex Garland, I think.
Said he likes to toy around with that shit. I mean, like, he knows that like there's going to be a aspect of the audience thinking this thing, and I want him to think it, even though I know that's not what I'm intending. But you just putting these like little.
Well, that was kind of what I did with the fingers, right? Like, I wanted like people to leave like thinking, all right, so like, what's Valdala's past? Like, what happened to her fingers, right? Like, you know. But even when I finished reading this draft, I was like, I think people are going to interpret this ending in different ways, but I think it's it's in a way that like I'm comfortable with, not in an annoyingly ambiguous way, but in a way that like it might actually, you know, encourage some discussion and stuff. So, like,
that was one thing I said to Chris before he was even done with the script, I think, was the one thing I could see a lot of people having a note still would be, I want to know more about these characters, who they are, where they come from. But to me, that's not a problem. I love the fact that we don't know, that it's a mystery, that people are kind of ciphers. And again, that kind of leaves you open to mess with some of that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Knowing
I would say though, I mean, I do think that you could show more of like the lore of like the magic. Like, there was a moment where you talked about, I think Valdala had like almost a page of monologue in a way, like talking about the old ways, right? And it's been hidden from her, right? Like, and religion has led her and others to believe like this, but really that like the old ways are much different, and they're not, and it's not evil, right? Like, we're led to believe that witches are evil or whatever. I don't know. There was something like you were onto something there, and I wanted more breadcrumbs later that sort of showed some history of
that might help bridge the gap if you were to keep that "I'm the Weaver" line in too.
Yeah, because that goes back to that, because I didn't know what the Weavers were.
Right. You know what's funny about the "I am the Weaver" line? Like, I love that line, but also like I think
that's all the more reason to kill it.
Yeah, but that's what I was gonna say, right? Like it's almost this like awful truth of writing that like this, like you'll have these things that you're like, I wrote a really good line.
Here's the thing, though,
and
you wrote it without
the one
saying
that needs to be cut.
I was saying the greatest poets never write a word. It's in the way they live. They live romantically and poetically, right? You can say it with the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the audience says, damn, she's the Weaver, if you set the Weaver shit up in their head enough. And it's way better for them to do that math and say it themselves.
I am the walrus.
Well, and it has to be like earned, right? The reason in Breaking Bad that works, right? Like, I am the one. There's so much groundwork put into just getting to that line where like it's the perfect thing to say, because it's what you're already thinking anyway, right? Like you're thinking that as an audience. I don't think in that moment that I don't think you're thinking that.
Yeah.
She's saying something I don't think that the audience entirely,
right.
Certainly not I felt at that moment, like that she's somehow above these extremely powerful gods because she used one spell to kill right. Because I guess it comes back to like, I didn't believe that she could do that anyway. You know,
that's kind of what I'm getting at is if you set it up to where the line would work, it's better without the line.
Exactly.
Because the movie said it.
Or you can leave it in,
or the line
matter.
works better, because it now doesn't.
The director will keep it or lose it.
I mean, all three of you seem to think that line isn't landing.
Well,
so that
it's not landing like he said. It's not landing when it doesn't feel like that's what's happening.
Yeah, I'm of the mindset you can keep it if it is earned. I think
I agree with that.
Because it comes.
I don't know if I can earn it with the story that I want to tell, though.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like.
Do you see sequels as a possibility for this? And
no.
You know, spoiler.
It feels kind of Maleficent. Like this is the origin story of this
right? Witch. Because when she leaves with this wolf and stuff.
But I should probably cut that if I want to sell this, right?
Cut what?
Out of this podcast.
I said no.
Cut from the podcast. I thought you meant from the script. Yeah. No, I agree. I tend to.
You can write a sequel to anything.
I mean, Godfather shit.
I got an idea for a sequel to Cactus
Best
Jack.
movie by many people. Yeah, right. Because I was going to say, if that is where you wanted to take this, The Weaver could be the title of the next movie, and that there you go. Like because I get your point that I'm not even suggesting this, but I'm just saying if that was where you wanted to go. Because by then maybe she would have earned saying I am the Weaver because she's more powerful, she's under control of it all. And all that
it does feel like a prequel.
That's all I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, if there was an opportunity to do it, I obviously wouldn't turn it down, and I obviously wouldn't turn down the money for it either if I got that into the contract. But it's not something that I see
for sure. But point being though, you teed it up. That's all.
Yes, you totally did. With the wolf companion and all that stuff.
Yeah,
you know, it's like,
and that speaks a little bit to like the climax maybe feeling a little bit more like disjointed from the rest of the script, because the rest of the script doesn't feel like a movie that would have a sequel. It feels like the Vivitch or whatever, you know. So
exactly.
And then the climax does feel sort of like Sorcerer's Apprentice or Maleficent or something like that. So it does feel a little bit disjointed, I think.
The big action climax itself kind of does that. That's how those movies end. They always end with a big action climax, whether it's a comedy. You know, most comedies end with a big action climax. I think Pineapple Express was satirizing that. You know,
so does it feel that way? Like the bringing in like the kind of like the bigger spells and stuff like that at the end. That also feels out of place, like when she's fighting off those guys and stuff. Or
I think if that's the way you're going to go, that's the way you would have to do it. You know, like you would need to lay the groundwork of how she could become at least powerful enough to be able to fight, to exchange blows with something. You know, someone
you're
so
talking about
powerful.
I just mean like the spot where like Valhalla is fighting off those guys and stuff like that. Does that feel like it fits with the rest of the script, or does that feel out of place?
Yeah, that worked.
Okay. That
Valhalla felt like she had the beads. Everything was established and set up already.
Yeah. And that didn't felt like that felt doable. Blows. Yeah, but it was after that. Once they start going back and forth, and she's only got the one spell. You know, I just said again, it kind of lost me in that moment.
Again, about earning shit, and that's half the game is earning shit.
Yes, absolutely.
This familiar aspect where she has the raven, Valhalla has the raven as her familiar. That's the term in magic and shit, you know. And by the end, she has this wolf. What if you do some dances of wolves, two socks kind of shit with this wolf? Maybe even one of the wolves
on the fringe of the forest
approached her and threatened her early on when she was in the tree. Maybe one of them she has a little relationship with throughout. That then by the end she's earned this familiar, and maybe it could help in the battle at the end and give her the upper hand versus Valhalla somehow. That could be that extra spell is the familiar, maybe.
Yeah, which actually could manifest by the wolf physically attacking this old, you know, like that. It isn't even directly magic that takes her out. It's actually she gets this animal, you know, this like physical, primal way to go. You know,
that could work.
But she also gets that companionship, is what she's been looking for the whole time, and she found it in nature, not in man. You know,
and then that kind of speaks to something that's believable, because how does someone beat someone so powerful? It's subverting the expectation of how you might become powerful or how you might beat her.
Charm a weapon into
or like with love, right?
What
like,
if Valhalla was scared of birds? And that's how you find a familiar that you are scared of. You approach something you're scared of, go out of your comfort zone. So she sends her into the woods as one of her trials to confront the wolves or some shit. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, but
I would vote simplicity but I don't want to like throw a no out into
again. This is all spitballing shit.
Yeah.
Don't mind
no,
me.
because it can work if you keep going down
wheels turning and thinking right now.
It can work. Yeah.
It's interesting.
So, Adam, were you saying earlier? So, like that one line of dialogue between Valdala and Skara, where it's like, "Hey, why are you trying to kill me?" You're saying Valdala should say that, or Skara should say that?
No, Skara. Like, I guess. I mean, personally, it's a bunch of stuff wrapped together, right? And right. I think it's born out of you've lost the thread, thematically or character motivation or both or whatever. But so I don't think they're behaving like the characters that we've come to know. Mm-hmm. Number one, right? But I think Skara, the way that I think they would behave, right? Then this is just me reading the script personally, the way I thought. The people I thought I was reading about, that I do kind of buy that Valdala might try to do that, like that she's rooted in her thinking,
yes,
right, in the way that someone religious might be, right? But that
I think it's important,
actually. But that Skara does represent something for her to want to have, that and a reason for defying the gods, which is why I said you've got to set up why she would be so afraid of the gods to throw this relationship away.
Agreed.
Yes.
Away for her to rectify,
as we were saying.
The greatest tragedy in her life. So yes, I think that Skara would in that moment say, why are you trying to fight me? But also it goes to more than that, right? Everyone in my life has tried to hurt me. Right, like the people I trusted most, and the people that represent the gods have
betrayal is really
right. Is betrayal, and now she got close to hitting that the end of her rope. I think with Eigen, right? Someone she thought she could trust who would not hurt her, betrayed her, and then now Valdala, right? The one person she thought that she could turn to when she really needed help is currently in the moment trying to hurt her. Right. So I think all of this would come out, especially since I think she knows she can't beat her. You
can super thematically supercharge that too by both of them kind of having the same thing going on, which happens a lot in real life when people get in fights. They're almost arguing from the same place where they both feel betrayed.
Yeah.
Valdala literally betrayed by Skara by humanity itself,
And then that's a moment where I think some of your best movies will have two people with philosophically different ideas. Right. But they are very similar, right? Mm-hmm. Very similar people. And usually you've got the movie as a battle between these different ideas going throughout it. But especially in your climax, it comes down to those two ideas are pushed against each other and you figure out which one wins. Mm-hmm. And so I think in this moment, you could have Valdala as someone who is trying not to piss off the gods again. Right. But you've got Skara who's like, why should we care? Why should anyone care?
Yeah, like I just left a village full of people who were slavishly obedient to this, mode of thinking, and now here I am out of the frying pan.
Right, and then maybe she has a different
Valhalla the other way if she can. It could be tragic and she can't. But
so I need a setup earlier on that will convince us that Valdala's
you just got buzzed.
You hear that? Gorilla plug, Hard Out Podcast, motherfuckers. ThemThorntons.com. You've been buzzed.
Beautiful.
For anybody watching,
should have done it louder.
The Thorntons have a podcast called Hard Out where it's an hour-long podcast and they cut it off at an hour when the buzzer goes off. And
unbeknownst to you were on the clock.
It's done. I had no idea it was on the clock. But
I'll send you the buzzer we use in post.
We're only like 50 minutes in because I've cut out some stuff. So
cheater.
But anyway, so this is good. So I need to set up that I need to set up Valdala's fear of the gods better so that we buy that at the end so that we understand why, even though this is tragic to her, this is the way that she has to go.
And that's a great opportunity for horror, for more dread, like you seeing Valdala's fear of this thing will make it all the more dreadful.
And that's easy too, right? Skara asks what we want to know. Like what will they do? What will they do if you defy the gods?
With some creative, nasty things they do to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have a thing with my kid all the time. He always asks questions during the movie, right? And what I always say to him is, a good movie is going to answer those questions.
Oh my God. I have this conversation with my kids all the time.
So we need to remember that as writers, though.
Yep.
That's exactly what Adam's speaking to.
Kid movies do spell it out for you, right? They answer those questions pretty quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't ask questions like during kid movies nearly as much, but like we'll be watching, just something that's kind of targeted at just 4-quadrant or whatever, right? Or just something that's PG-13 that we're letting them watch.
Shit Jeff Willis's name's in the credits of.
Right. What's going on? Just watch. They'll tell you. Anyway.
Right.
All right. So I got to
I'm saying, remember that as a writer, though, that you're posing these questions. People are going to want you to answer.
Well, that was a major note on the first draft, was that like there were way too much. Like I wasn't revealing character motivation until like page 60 and shit like that. Way.
That's a first draft and a just amateur mistake, but even pros carry that into first draft land. I think a lot where we think this big reveal
on that spectrum, but
just the point that character motivation should be a reveal at all. I'm the total opposite. Let us know right up front what the fuck they want, why they're trying to do it, what the hurdles are. For the most
and that might change throughout,
it might change, and motivation can have layers. So there's more layers to it. So you reveal the layers of the onion, but you start off.
Never hold it back. What makes her tick? I hate there's nothing worse than an ending.
Yeah,
you finally.
But I think you get there quick. You get there quick because we know that Priest is hurting her. Right. I mean, right.
Yeah. Well, this is a way different draft. I mean, the all this stuff with like the sister and the priest and stuff did not exist in the first draft.
Oh wow, that's good stuff too, man. With
it was all she had a baby or some shit.
It was wrenching, dude.
So that's awesome. I'm so glad that it played well.
Yeah. And when it seemed the priest had died, I was disappointed because I wanted to see him figure in the ending, and then again, spoiler alert, you have to.
I wrote down like
and shit.
I wrote about halfway through the script that the priest should live, and he ended up being alive.
That's cool.
Later.
Awesome. I'm glad I earned that too, because like I was worried that it would be like too obvious that he was going to live, because I didn't really show like his twitching body or anything,
but and I think the reason for writing that down though is there comes a point where Val Dahl is she's not the antagonist,
right?
It's going to have to come back to that,
and we need it,
and that figurehead,
and you don't want it to be a new character later, so it needed to be someone established.
Perfect.
So I need to set that up, that she's scared of the gods. When it comes together, I need to make it clear that they've got these like different philosophies, and kind of have that conversation play out to some degree, even if it's just a couple lines. Somehow I need to earn Scara actually beating her.
I would just throw this out, or
the wolf isn't
she does, or so she either beats her or she loses, which can happen, right? Or they rectify their differences in that moment, right? Like she does break down her wall,
which could be satisfying,
and illuminates kind of what she doesn't see, right? What she can have if she doesn't do what she, right? Like, and I mean personally, I think that's the ending, because I think that's what's set up the way it is.
Yeah, right? I kind of feel that way too. Like
you feel like it's leading toward them, like
because
interesting.
Valdala, what happened with her own daughter. I think this is a point at the end for Scarlett to ask if, like what left do you have to lose? They've already done the worst to you. Like why do you fear them? Let's walk away from this religion you have, just like we were persecuted by, with the other guys, like to abandon that, what she's clinging to, unless again, the fear is truly legitimate. But I mean, maybe that's it. Like it just, rather than let this be the outcome, face that, whatever that fear is, whatever that consequence is,
Well, and that thing I was talking about earlier with the familiar thing, facing your fears. What if Scara reminds her of that? Face your fears of the gods,
which would be exactly what's happening.
And I think too, to say real quick, I think there's something about her. If you can find a way for Scara to release Valdala and her daughter from this eternal pain.
That's what I was going to say. Like if she somehow discovered that, and you already set that up, like she doesn't know even how to find that spell. If Scara does somehow, I have no idea how you would do that.
I do have a technical question on that. If when they went into the cave and she saw the daughter, which is a great on-screen opportunity, trailer, horrific shit. Just this face in the window. The eyes and all that. But. And she says, basically the, South Park, how do you kill that which cannot has no life, the Warcraft player, dude. How do you kill that which has no life? That similar line to that, how do you kill that which is already dead?
I forgot about that.
Technically, I was just wondering, could she not just burn the body? Like she could at least get rid of destroy the body if she wants, but I feel like it's okay, like even if the idea is that her soul will still be tied to earth and tormented and everything, even if the body's still there, it doesn't matter.
I believed it.
It did occur to me just like, which, but still, like if it is about just like this, being tied to this body, I don't know. That just occurred to me, but I didn't even want to.
You could show some. I mean, she could say
mentioned or something.
Yeah, I mean, like, how
why
do
not
you
just
kill
burn
it?
her? Just and like,
and she just like points to like, well, I tried this, and I tried that, and you can see the whole. I mean, I don't know if you want to go that far, but she could be charred, so she doesn't become ash. She just burns perpetually, right? Yeah,
or she's.
Oh it's back every morning, every time I try and destroy it all these different ways. It's just, it always returns,
Every time.
Let me throw something random out there. What if you juxtapose or kind of compare and contrast, but I guess they'd almost be the same thing. You dovetail the way Christian religion, it's such a sin to kill yourself. What if in this religion with the Weavers it is as well? So when Valhalla wants to fight Skara, she wants to fight to the death to lose. Because she can't kill herself, but she wants to fight this chick and she thinks can kill her.
That's not bad.
Kind of in the first draft.
Death by cop almost sort of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In the
Outsiders
first draft,
type shit.
I would believe that.
In the first draft, Valhalla was wanted to fight for the same reason, that she felt like she owed it to the Weavers, like, out of respect, they had made this blood oath. But she wanted to lose to Skara because she wanted to let Skara go on.
You could set all that up. Like Valhalla, this all-powerful witch, happens to leave her ring sitting around. Oh, it's been a long, slow con to teach. Maybe she does give this girl access to the spell that could kill her, that maybe the girl uses and it backfires in the town or something, like we threw out earlier as a possibility. But at the end, uses this dangerous spell to kill her or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out. But it could have been Skara all along, planting the seeds of her own demise.
Because she can't kill herself.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I would believe that. Yeah.
So she can't kill herself because that dishonors the Weavers. But if she dies in battle, that's totally in line with Norse mythology.
It's a loophole. Yeah. Right.
You can't quit. You can only be fired.
Exactly.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Now, that might be the ending.
Building on that though, because I still go back to
turns it on its head and wakes her back up. So
I still go back to the philosophical ideas, right? And I think it's what Chris and I were mentioning.
The theme's got to work.
Yeah, I mean, and I can believe that, but I think Skara, I think this is your moment for her life view or what she has learned, right? To be put across and to win, right? And it comes down to religion. Right. And it comes down to adhering to religion in the face of, so I think Skara says, number one, what more can they take from you? Right. So if it's just her own physical harm, that's cowardice. Right. Number two, maybe she has the spell that can free her daughter. Right. But also number three, you can set up something like, what happens if we just walk away? Right? Can we walk away? It is the price that she can no longer practice witchcraft.
That's the true subversion of all this and big climactic action endings and everything.
And that's what it needs to be, is a rejection of the religion, so whatever it is. The thing the priest needed to do and all the people needed to do is the thing that Skara needs to convince Valhalla to do.
There's actually a female unity message in there too, with a strong female protagonist.
Right, because
they all want us to fight. They want us to catfight. They want us to kill each other. We're not going to do it. We reject them. We walk.
I think that's what I didn't really understand about the autonomy.
I don't know how I feel about any of them, but it's all.
If I were you, I would stop saying what I need to do is and trying to end on some perfect checklist you have, like a power list or something. I would just take all this, go home.
That's what I'm going to do. That's what I was just going to say. I know now that I can just tell I'm at this point where we've had enough conversation that there is a solution, and I'm going to be able to find it, and it's just going to take me a week or something, Yeah,
exactly.
But that's
the good thing about it is that talking about it like this means, to me, I think you're so close that I think you get right up to the moment they start fighting, and you make additions or subtractions right there. I don't think the rest of it really needs much work.
I mean, a line here or two there to set it up.
I'm so psyched you guys liked it that much. I can't believe
it's good shit, man.
It's the second draft. I mean, but I guess I put a lot into both of those drafts.
Yeah, there's different kinds of drafts. You didn't do any vomit drafts and shit.
Right. If you put a lot of hard work into each one and hammer it out.
But I'm so psyched. I mean, especially because I have so much respect for you guys as writers, because I mean, you guys are kind of like, I feel like you take the big swings, and that's what I love about your writing, and so it's really an honor that you guys liked it that much. And so you feel like the characters in general, like they're working and they're interesting. And okay, cool.
I have one other, unless you just are trying to wrap it up, because I could just
no, man, notes, I'll take any note.
It's minor, but I just want to throw it out there as something to consider. When, let me look his name up again. Aegon. When Skara goes back to Aegon, that little turn or progression from Skara being horrified by what she saw in the cave and the other sort of mini abuses and things she's experienced, those are basically what drove her away from Valhalla, right? It's pretty much those combination of things. I'm not missing anything that led her to go back to the village to find Aegon.
Yeah, it was
like that the motivation behind it.
This life was not, she came to the conclusion that she couldn't do this.
Couldn't save her sister.
Is
what part of it. So why
she couldn't save her sister. There was this just wasn't going to be it for her, and there was nothing for her. And the best she could possibly do was going back to this really low quality life for a woman, where she was, if she was lucky, going to become the wife of somebody, and then living a silent life as
So it's not that I don't buy it. I definitely do. I think it totally works as it is, but I felt like maybe just a little more being earned, like her feelings, because I guess where I'm struggling is her returning back to the village. It seems like to be pushed into that direction, felt like she had to maybe suffer a little more. And we actually did speak to that earlier. So maybe just by addressing that other note of,
or more of a falling out between, think of it like a foster situation where the kid and the foster parents get in a fight and the kid runs away or something,
Yeah, exactly. Like a more powerful moment that sends her away. I just felt like it was a little,
I mean, yes. So you could have that moment of just Scar, or no, it's Valhalla being able to just tell oh, this isn't what you thought it was going to be, right? And she squeezes and pulls out of her that really all that she ever wanted was to be able to bring her sister back. So for her to tell
I didn't want to be a witch.
Not going to
I wanted my sister.
Yeah.
No, you can't have your sister. I'm offering you the chance to be a witch. No thanks.
Yeah.
I have a feeling
I'll never teach you the spell. I'll never teach you that spell ever. Right. So,
and then again, that's overt and it's on the page and everyone knows what the fuck it is. And I was saying earlier, you could almost explain the internalized thought process of her by having the guy say, "What do you want?" at that point or whatever. You could still kind of do both. But because the audience is still wondering what's the rest of this movie? What does she want if she knows she can't get her sister and she can't do this and she can't do that?
And that's always, I think, better on the page, because that's something that you can easily take out, but people can't. Sometimes they can't fill the gaps. In
a script, you need it. In a movie, you can find
in the movie they can always take it out.
It could be on the actor's face more or whatever.
Yeah.
And they can decide that.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, guys, this is awesome. I'm kind of on cloud 9 right now that you guys like the script that much. It means a lot. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to read it.
I think for writing a script that didn't suck.
I actually can't wait for people to see this episode. Just because there's so much interesting craft and spoken about here. So it's really cool. I can't wait for people to see it.
Yeah, I think it turned out well.
All right, everybody should go tune into Hard Out, because we're about to talk to Adam about his favorite movie, Blue Ruin. I almost said My Blue Heaven.
That's a good one. So
that'd be amazing.
My Blue Ruin.
All right.
Later, guys.
Man. Appreciate it.
Fellas.
All right.
Can't express my thanks enough to those guys. That was amazing. Just a high-level, focused craft conversation. So cool and so fun. So thank you guys. I really, really appreciate it. Also, a huge thanks to Jenna Lynn Wright and Mike Morin and Martin Aguilera, who also gave me notes on this draft. It was super cool to get those. They were fucking awesome notes. So thank you. I'm also glad that you dug the script, honestly. It's really, really an honor that all of these great writers were into it. So it means a lot, and I just can't wait to take it to the next level. Thank you very, very much. I've got one more episode coming up after this, and then it's on to the live streamed reading of Aether, which is crazy. I cannot believe that we're already there. I'm super excited. I've got some killer actors lined up. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm admittedly a little bit nervous, but that's okay because this entire series has made me nervous, and I've survived it so far. So just looking forward to seeing it through to the end. It should be really, really cool. So thank you so much to all of you who have been following along and commenting and supporting. It has been super cool. I really do appreciate it. Wishing you all the best in your writing, and smash cut to black.